Hello, friends. Welcome to another evening of I Talk with Pastor conversations about life and faith. Well, we are in the month of March, and if you're a woman or you're also a man, you know that the month of March is all about women. I mean, like every month is about us. But this month, March, we celebrate. Tomorrow is International Women's Day. And I want to take the time out to celebrate all the women who are looking on. I want to let you know that you are blessed and you are favored by God. And whatever it is you're going through, I want to encourage you to push on. Just push and rally it out, and you will get to the fruitful years that God has promised. So, happy International Women's Day as we celebrate that. Now, if you want to share shout out to a woman, I mean, this is an opportunity. You want to tag a woman right now as we get into this very important topic. You want to say hi to important. If a woman would have impacted your life in some way, talking about International Women's Day here, impacted your life in some way, I want you to write their names in the chat even now. Write their names. And as you are writing their names, as you're tagging somebody, as you're saying the name of somebody who has impacted your life in an amazing way, just put it on there. Put it on there. We have some coming in already. Anybody, write any amount of names. I know sometimes as ladies, we don't want to put everybody's name. It's like, oh, this one, see, you tag this one and you forgot me. But you just want to shout out a woman. You want to shout out a woman tonight. Just this is your opportunity. Put their names down, put it in there, and say hi to a friend, hi to a sister, hi to a colleague, hi to somebody who has influenced your life, your mother, your grandmother, somebody in some way who has impacted you. All right. So shout out to all the women. Now, tonight we are going into a topic health wise. Well, all the time, whenever we're dealing with health in particular, we like to bring in some medical professional or to deal with these topics and to answer these questions. But today, I decided not to necessarily go the whole medical way, but to go with someone who is walking through the experience. And what experience is we're talking about? Endometriosis. That's what we're talking about, endometriosis. So, if you want to know more about this topic, I want you to take a moment to share the link. We say it here, share the link, save a life. Share the link, save a life. So, take this moment right now and just share this link with somebody. Share this link, take your time, put it on WhatsApp or share it on your Facebook. Share the link, copy it, send it out to somebody because this discussion tonight will indeed change a life and save a life. You never know, and you can be the person doing that. So, we are talking about endometriosis, pushing past the pain. And tonight, joining me in studio, well, she's in another place, but joining me is that we have Miss Sherman Joy Charles, all the way from Tobago, and she's here and she's going to be talking to us on her personal journey. But we just want to say hi to Sherman. Sherman, welcome on. How are you?
Hi, good night, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. I'm doing well so far.
All right, excellent, excellent. Now, you're doing well so far. I want to start off this whole scenario by saying, do you get anxious every time this time of the year comes around, knowing that the emphasis is going to be on endom- endometriosis? I mean, do you get anxious? Is something you look for, or do you remember it just as the day comes in, pops up?
I think as for now, I'm not as anxious as I used to be before. I think going through the whole process and dealing with, everything that would have happened that brought me to this point, I am not so anxious, um, but more sort of encouraged
Okay.
to know that I went through that process. And, even though things may not have gone as planned for me because of endometriosis, at least I'm still alive and I'm still okay. And I'm still able to educate somebody and just give somebody a little idea of what it's like to be dealing with endometriosis.
All right. And that's good. So some folks are, you're probably hearing this for the first time. I remember the first
Mm-hmm.
time I heard the words like, what? So that explains it. Now, for those who are listening, just a little synopsis here. I'm no medical professional. You can actually Google this for yourself. But it says that endometriosis is a chronic and often very painful condition in which tissue similar, that means it resembles the lining of the uterus. It grows
Yes.
outside the uterus and it
Mm-hmm.
commonly affects the ovaries, fallopian tubes, and pelvic tissue. All right.
Yes.
Now, it normally looks as more as an abnormal tissue growth, and it could lead to
Mm-hmm.
various symptoms like pelvic pain, painful periods, heavy menstrual bleeding. Ladies, you know
Yes.
what I'm talking about. Pain during intercourse and infertility.
Mm-hmm.
What was very and I will get there, but when I was reading up on it, what was
Mm-hmm.
very troubling for me when it says that the exact cause of endometriosis, it remains unclear.
Yes.
So sometimes they say it's genetics, hormonal
Mm-hmm.
imbalance, immune system disorders. All these
Mm-hmm.
things may play a role. But what the exact cause, how can one develop that? They don't know. So, which means
Yes.
I can have endometriosis and I don't really know because it's something that needs to be diagnosed.
True.
Um, a little more fact to let you know for those women you're watching on, endometriosis affects over 190 million women of reproductive age
Mm-hmm.
in some way. So roughly about 1 in 10 persons, well,
Yes.
females,
Mm-hmm.
this can happen. Now, talk to us. Some folks might have read your Facebook post and all of that, and what's your story. You can head over to Germain's Facebook page and read her story. Right. No, but we want, for those who are listening and those who are not running
Yes.
over right away, and
Mm-hmm.
folks may want to ask, how did you first realize, how do you know something is wrong before this diagnosis?
Mm-hmm.
What was happening that caused you to go to the doctor?
So the fact of the matter is, what was happening, I just figured was just a normal part of being a woman and going through your periods. So I was having these very heavy periods, I was having pain, but it was getting worse. So I would be out of commission for at least the first 2 days of my period.
Okay.
There would be vomiting, there would be diarrhea, it would be very heavy, there would be a lot of clotting. And I told mommy about it. I was in
Okay.
USC at the time, so I told mommy about it. And mommy was like, you need to come and get this checked out. But in my mind, it's normal period pain. Everybody goes through it. It's nothing to be alarmed about.
Right.
What started happening is that I was getting period pains, that what I thought were period pains, outside of my period. So
Oh.
for the majority of the month, I would be in serious pain. And then it also would give me back pain, cause my legs to cramp. And then I was like, okay, yeah, so maybe mommy was right. I need to check a gynecologist. So mommy had a gynecologist she loved in Tobago. And she said, come up, check it out, let's see what's happening. So, the usual thing, you go in, you do an ultrasound. And I've heard about fibroids before because mommy had fibroids. I heard about cysts before because to me, every single woman had a cyst. So I figured they're going to go
Yes.
in. They might say, okay, fine, you have fibroids. Okay, you have cysts. You'll be fine. So went to the doctor, gave him the history, did the ultrasound, came back, and he was like, okay, so you have endometriosis. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I've never
Yeah.
heard of that before. I don't know what this is. Is it cancer? I don't know. I don't know what it is. And the doctor, I don't want to go on the type of doctor he is, but he basically said, go and research it. You'll figure out what endometriosis is. So I did
Okay.
like any normal person, went on the computer, looked at it, endometriosis. I didn't understand it because I'm not a medical student. I'm not a medical professional. I don't know what it is. But they said the same thing you said. They don't know what causes it, and you have it. But my endometriosis was in my ovaries, and I had two pretty big cysts. So I think one was 10, the other was 12, or something like that. And, the doctor gave me the birth control, and he said, take this. This is what helped. You're going to get better. Take medication. My doctor turned on. I'm like, I'm going to be fine. And it just got worse. The
Goers.
pain got worse. Nothing changed.
How
And then
old were
that's
you around that time?
so 2006. So I was 23.
You're
I
23.
was 23 around that time. So that's when I was first diagnosed. Then.
So you're young, 23 years old, full of
Mm-hmm.
life, looking forward to your future. Of course, you're in university, you're studying. It's a typical, I think maybe by then you must have been senior period about 8 years
Yeah.
or more about around there, just
Mm-hmm.
around there. So, you're accustomed to this thing and there is pain. You're getting the pain. And I want to pause here
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes as women, it has happened to me too, where we take our pain for granted. We
Yeah.
just believe that we should be going through this
Mm-hmm.
amount of pain. This is the
Yep.
pain. Everybody gets the pain, so you bear it. I mean, sometimes you're there, you're curled up as as you were talking. You said you threw up. You're
Mm-hmm.
like, I can't do this. This is so difficult. It's supposed to be normal, but it doesn't quite feel normal. I'm getting all this pain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to ask a question here tonight for the women. Do you get, or have you ever, let me ask it another way, have you ever experienced severe menstrual pain? If you have, just type yes. Just type yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you've experienced, and I'm talking that excruciating pain that kind of pulls your stomach in, it comes, I don't know, it's like a little fever. The pain gives you a fever. I mean, I don't know what that experience is like for you, but tell us about that pain at the point where you're going through this. Tell us of the pain, what that pain was like.
It was different.
It's different.
That's how I could describe it. It was different. No position was comfortable. I couldn't lie down. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't stand. Most of the
Right.
times I'd have to be kneeling on the side of my bed and leaning over to get some relief. And
Wow.
then it came with a back pain, and then it came with a cramping down my legs. So it was just a different kind of pain. And normally for me, I figured, I have a high pain threshold, but that one would have me laid up in bed for days, don't want to move,
Right.
don't want to eat, all those kinds of things. So that was kind of, it was like a stabbing pain in
Wow.
your stomach and in your lower back here.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. See, that's the thing. And that's the pain. And that's some of the pain that we have to go through. And so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, so you're saying you could hardly stand, you sit, lying, it's just so uncomfortable. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you still now function during that period? You Let's talk about the days you were in university. When she says USC, she means University of the Southern Caribbean. But at the time, we know it was dear old CUC, Caribbean
You
Union
see.
College, transitioning over to USC. But at that time in university, you're in a dorm. You're
Mm-hmm.
not with, you're not in comfort of your home. There are obviously very limited supplies of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have classes that you can say to your lecturer, I have period pain, I really can't come. How
Mm-hmm.
Describe a typical day for you when you were dealing with those symptoms, not yet that. Yeah.
So a typical day would just be me sleeping, trying to sleep, I would say.
Yeah.
I had a roommate, Jacinta. I think Jacinta had a heating pad, And, she would always lend me that heating pad. And, that would give you a little sense of relief, but not
Yes.
enough that you needed to get where you needed to get to. So I know roommates would have to bring lunch. Sometimes I don't even want the lunch because I can't eat. I have no appetite.
Wow.
Roommates will come and check on you, make sure you're okay, make sure you have your meds and stuff like that. So a typical day when I'm going through an episode, which is what I would call it, an episode, it's me just trying to find comfort in some way. And most of times, like I said, it would just be me kneeling on the side of the bed, leaning over the bed with a heating pad on, trying to get some relief. But it's good when you have good roommates and you have good friends in school who sort
Right.
of understood the situation. I mean, I've had understood that, this is what endometriosis is, but understood, okay, Sherman is just having a really bad day and was just around you there to rally and just to help you in whatever way that they could.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Support. And support is very important. We're getting there. I mean, there's so many things
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask. I'm trying to slow it down here. And also at the same time, talk to folks and talk to women
Mm-hmm.
and talk to men. Sometimes you do not understand the degree of pain that a woman is going through and still
Yes.
have to function on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
how much pain you're going through. Yes, you were getting the support from your friends, but you still had to get your assignments done. You still had to
Done.
show up for exams. You're still trying to get through your courses while going through this tremendous amount of pain. So you're
Mm-hmm.
at the doctor. The doctor says, the doctor says you have endometriosis. What was that? Go over again. And now he says, well, you go look it up, and
Mm-hmm.
you've looked it up. What sort of sentence that felt like to you when you started reading about this disease?
I was like, okay, so this is something I have to deal with going forward. At that point in time, I didn't take it seriously because everybody had fibroids, everybody had cysts. And
Yes.
as I said, my endometriosis came in the form of cysts on my ovary. So I'm like, I'm just like everybody else. I have to go through the process. I have to take the birth control pills. I have to take the medication. Because for some weird reason around that time, birth control pills were the cure all for these things.
Ferritin.
So you take your blood control pills, you take your pain medication, and you're going to be fine. And
Right.
so that is where I was at when I read about it. That's where I was at.
All right. So you were taking these birth controls, and when did it become more serious for you? When did you realize, well, this is not really working out? Because you would take the birth control pills. What did that do for you?
Nothing. It didn't, because I was told. This is when I realized something was wrong because I was told that the blood control pills would stop my period.
Mm-hmm.
So I am taking my blood control pills, and my period is not stopping. I'm getting my
Oh,
period every month. It's lasting 7, 8 days. It's still heavy. Nothing is improving. The pain medications were not working. So I think they gave me Orphan at that time.
okay.
And the Orphan wasn't working. And so I told mommy, I said, nothing working. I think I need to go back to the doctor because nah, it's not working. And like I said, by that time, I was like, oh, I'll be fine. With control pills, pain medication, I'm going to be good. It wasn't
Right.
working. So I'm like, let me go back.
So you went back. What does he now
Hmm.
say? You're back. Tell me the timeline. Is this a year later, 2 years later? When do you go back to this doctor?
I think it was between 2 to 3 months later
Okay.
because I, I didn't want to wait much longer to find out if anything happened. So
All
I
right.
came back up to Tobago and then I went in back and he said, okay, let's repeat the ultrasound. And then repeated the
Yes.
ultrasound, the cyst grew. I'm like,
Wow.
what? 3 months on birth control that's supposed to stop it. It grew. And then he was like, okay, so you're going to have surgery. And even then, I'm like, okay, cool. Gonna have surgery, gonna take it out, I'm gonna be fine. So all this time, besides being upset because this man didn't explain to me properly how it was, I was like, okay, cool. I'm a trooper. Let's do this. So went in, had my surgery. He said it was successful, and I figured, okay, I'm good to go. And I figured that was the end of that.
What sort of surgery it was? What surgery?
So I don't know the name of the surgery, but what they had to do, they had to take out the cyst. What's the
Oh,
medical term? I don't know. So they did a C-section cut, and then
right.
they took out the two cysts that were present at that point in time.
Okay. And at the time, it's
Mm-hmm.
just the cyst. They've taken out the cyst. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're at the point you're saying, okay, well, then this will work. I now continue my day from here
Yes.
on in. Life
Mm-hmm.
goes on for me. I've done my part. They've removed it. I'm going to live my life. What happens now? Cyst is out. How has it changed?
1 second.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So the cyst is out. How do
Mm-hmm.
you move on from there? Did anything change? Did you receive less pain? Was there lighter periods? How did that transpire?
So the cyst came out, and I was fine. I had lost weight. I had got really skinny. So I was like, yeah, with every negative, there comes a positive. And I was good. Graduated in 2007. Oh my God, I'm old. Graduated 2007. Came, went to work. I'm doing fine. And then the pain returns. Stupid me. Period pain as per usual. Nothing to worry about.
Yes.
And then I started getting the cramping in my back. And in my mind, I'm like, ain't no way this grew back. Now, I had surgery in 2006. We're in 2008. So ain't no way this thing go back already. So
Right.
I ignored it for a few months. And then I said, you know what? Let me go and check. Went and do a checkup. Boom. And I say boom because what? Two cysts are there again. One is like 13. The other one is like 9. It was smaller. It was single figures. So it was like 13. I was 8 or 9 centimeters. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is happening? I don't know. And that is when I really learned what endometriosis is. That is when the doctor fully explained to me what endometriosis was. And I remember Dr. Singh saying, if you came to me in the first instance, I wouldn't have let you cut. Because once you do the surgery and you cut the cyst, it's going to go back. And he didn't lie.
It grew
He
back.
did not lie. It grew back. And so that entered into surgery number 2. Surgery number 2. Yeah.
What was going through your mindset? I mean, I know the first surgery was like, okay, this is it. I'm dealing with it. I'm taking action. I'm trying to get myself better. I'm pushing for it. I've done this. As you say, boom, again. We have, you have to, there's 2 more cysts and there's another surgery. What was your mindset? We want to get into your feels. What was your mindset? How did you feel at that moment, having to now say, let go to do another surgery? And also remember hearing from this doctor that once you cut, it's going to grow back. And if you cut, it's going to grow back. So why do this second surgery anyhow?
So when I heard that, I was pissed.
Okay.
Because I'm like, so the clown couldn't tell me this before? Sorry, the doctor couldn't tell me this before? Like, really?
Wow.
And so then trying to say, okay, so this is going to happen again and again and again and again. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then I went on public hospitals are crap. I felt as though the surgery was the problem for a little while. And so I said, you know what? This time I'm going to go private. Yeah, I'm going to spend my
Yes.
money. I'm going to go to a private doctor, and he is going to ensure that I don't have this thing again. So
Yes.
went down to Trinidad, spoke to the doctor. He said, yeah, we're going to do this. And what we're going to do is after we take out the cyst, we're going to burn the site where the cyst is growing, laser it. And, that will prevent it from growing back. And I'm like, yes. To make
This
doctor said,
doctor.
I'm going to do it. This Trinidad doctor know what he's doing. Let's go again. So dumb me. I mean,
That
common
was
sense
your
would
thought
dictate.
pattern.
Let me go down Trinidad. Let me get this done privately and done properly, so I don't have to go through this again. And so that was search number two. I must say here though, the best treatment I had after surgery was in private hospital. I fully understand why persons pay to go there.
Right.
They were excellent. They were really good, and I felt because the doctor sort of gave me an assurance that we're gonna do something a little extra to help you. And then
Yes.
the care I received, I'm like, okay, this is the end. I'm good.
You're good.
I'm good. So yeah, I was
We're in
really happy.
2008.
2008, yes.
Yes. And so you've done the second surgery, taken out
Mm-hmm.
the cyst, and we burned the site. That is
Yes.
it. Ashes
Mm-hmm.
to ashes. And you're there and you're going on with your life. And I want to pause here because many people have been through this, in various sickness, whether disease, any affliction. You go
Mm-hmm.
and you get treatment, and sometimes you meet somebody horrible, and then you meet a great doctor, and you are 100% sure. You feel set free. You are confident. You are
Yeah.
going in this, and then boom, like, yeah, tell us of the other boom because that is sounding like a next boom. Hmm.
So
2008, surgery number two, endometriosis. It was supposed to end, but it seems to be carrying on. What happened after 2008?
so 2009,
Nine.
I went for my checkup. The pain wasn't as bad.
Okay.
I wasn't seeing my period. That's when my period started to act up, for want of a better word. So I wouldn't
Yes.
see my period for some months. When it comes, sometimes it comes light, sometimes it comes heavy. But the pain in between the periods wasn't so bad. So I was having severe back pain. And I just figured, my height, my weight, I'm lazy, I don't exercise, my back is acting up. So I stopped wearing heels, I started wearing flats. I used to have to walk with a cushion to sit down and work. And in
Right.
my mind, this is nothing related to endometriosis. It's just me being an unfit and unhealthy person. So, you go for your annual checkup. And this was a doctor who I saw who told me about I wouldn't send you for surgeries, right? And I went into the office, did the ultrasound, and he says, I remember you from hospital. I'm like, yes. Da, 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 da. He's like, so how much surgeries you had? I was like, two. And he was like, okay. And he said, when was your last surgery? I said, well, 2008. I
Mhm.
gave him the date. And he said, the cyst is back. So I'm like, what? What? And then he's like, yeah, so you have two cysts. One is 15 and the other is 13. So my cyst growing in size for no reason. And then I was like, this is pointless. And this is when I started really experiencing how, I don't want to say terrible, but incompassionate people could be. Um, so I felt comfortable talking about it at that point in time, and I went
Right.
and I said, this is back. And everybody had all reasons to blame
Something.
me for it. You're not eating properly. You're eating too much chicken. You shouldn't be eating cheese. You're eating too much dairy. You're not exercising. You're not praying enough. You don't have enough faith.
Damn.
Now that faith one, you know where that comes from, Nicola, obviously. That faith one is the one that really made me realize, like, people really don't know what to say to people. Because you tell me I don't have no faith, I can't control what's happening to me. But I still try to do everything to prevent it from growing. So that's when I
I
went to my
don't
health
don't
coach.
don't rush past this.
Okay,
Don't
I
rush.
don't rush past that.
Don't rush past this part
Right.
because many Christians suffer in silence with their sickness, whatever. Because many times as believers, we equate it to a faith issue.
Yep.
So this is coming back because of lack of faith, not praying enough, not doing this enough. As if it is in my control by my faith to have this done. So this is something, the Bible talks about if you have faith the size of the mustard seed,
Mustard
you
seed.
can move mountains. That text does not mean that you don't have enough faith. It is saying that God knows that even if the size of your faith is a mustard seed, it will move mountains. It is enough
Yes.
for me to work with. So it is not necessarily the belief that I need to have, but the understanding no matter what I have, God will work. And so God chooses. But we go around and we throw this faith thing lightly. We need to pray. You need to pray
Yes.
harder. You need to do this more. You need to focus on this. And we don't have a lot of good advice for people. And so I'm asking the brethren that when you don't know what to say, go home and pray.
Yeah, don't say
Because
nothing.
your silence in public is better than your voice.
Yes.
Privately, you can pray, you can talk to God, you can cry out, you can shout, you can say, Lord, if she don't have enough faith, help. And we're not compassionate. So people don't want to share, and we carry. Sometimes you're a vegetarian all your life and you still get cancer.
Yeah.
And people's like, she must either eaten meat privately or something, or no. So many things happen because we live in a sinful world, and we are
Correct.
prone for anything can happen. So if anybody out there, you're struggling with something, do not let people tell you that you do not have enough faith. All we need is enough God. God is enough, and he works through every situation. And so, Sherman, I'm very sorry you had to go through that, but we do it a lot. We like to throw in faith, and we don't throw in help. You're talking about my faith. Are you guys doing any support, financial support, as I go take these surgeries after surgery? And I want to go in here as we're probably midway point of your experience. Hearing for the third time, the cyst has grown. What was your support like? We had your support for your friends. You're out of universities. You don't have those roommates. I mean, if you've ever gone to USC or university, you don't have roommates. You have crime mates. Anything that affects you affects them. I mean, your period, they're synchronized. Everybody goes through the same. Everybody's so in touch with everybody when you live on a female dorm. But you're now away from there. I know you have a strong support in the family, but what was it like um outside of your friends?
It was a rally. Um, Mommy, daddy, granny, and Cherise. You see those four? You know what's up? Baby. And boys will be boys. But granny, mommy, daddy, and Cherise. I remember when I had to go hospital and I couldn't bathe myself. Cherise will come up every single day, like every single day to bathe me. When I had to run to hospital, because that 2008 2010 period, that was my hospital period. When I had
Okay.
to run to hospital every minute to get pain meds, Cherise would come in ambulance with me. Daddy would ensure, daddy and mommy were always in the hospital with me. And granny would always be on the side praying. I remember the first time I saw my grandmother cry there was a time the pain was so much, I started bawling at home. And that's the first time I heard my grandmother say, oh Lord, why my granddaughter? Why my granddaughter? Why my granddaughter? And that's why my family is so close to my heart. Because I know if anything happens to me at the drop of a hat, they run, they go.
Yes.
And it's not just that support, but they sort of protected me from the talk and the unnecessary comments and the
Right.
unsolicited advice. And when I couldn't speak up for myself, Shirley was there to shut it down. And daddy was
Yeah.
there to shut it down. And granny was there to put them in their place. You understand? Mommy is not so shut down, but she will come and say,
She'll
Sherman,
pray for
don't
them.
take
She'll
them
pray for
on. Yeah,
them.
Sherman, don't take them on. Da, 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 whatever is the case. And so I will give much love to them. And I think the reason why I'm able to just talk about this openly is because my family.
Your family. And that
Yep.
great family support needed
Mm-hmm.
very much in these 2 year period, 2008 to
Mm-hmm.
2010. You're
Mm-hmm.
there in and out of a hospital, ambulance. They're like, did you get the faces from the doctor? She again, you know,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and then you have to be there because you cannot explain the magnitude of this
Mm-hmm.
pain. So the
Yes.
fibroids, third time there's a cyst. What
Mm-hmm.
is the decision now? Do you
So my
take out
decision,
this again?
so my decision was, I'm gonna try herbs.
Mhm.
Like when I think about it, I don't know what's going through my head. I'm gonna try herbs. I stop eat chicken, I stop eat milk, I stop eat cheese for a full year because I said, you know what? Everybody says that's why my cyst is growing. It's my hormones. And the chicken affects your hormones and the cheese and the milk and stuff like that. So, I wasn't exercising because I'm lazy. But I had stuck with the fast food and stuff like that because this is what is going to help. And I did it for a full year. A full year. And what was happening was I started feeling faintish. So I was still getting the pain. I started feeling faintish. Went back to the doctor. My blood count had dropped to below 10. So it was like 8 or 9. And then
Yeah.
the cyst had grown. I remember the doctor said when he took out the cyst, it was the size of a basketball. So that's how big my sisters grew. And that is after me listening to all these people talk about herbs and drinking a certain nastiness that don't taste good. Because that's what's going to melt the cyst. That was going to melt the cyst. It didn't work. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
Didn't work. And the doctor said, you have so much scarring on your fallopian tube that if you keep it in there, there's a possibility that you're going to be infertile. And when I hear infertile, I'm like, take it out. Because I want kids. I want 2 boys. I want to be
Mhm.
married, my 2 boys. Take it out of me. And that was the decision to have the third surgery. But before I could do that, I had to do blood transfusions because my blood count was too low. I had to go on trahemic. So I had a blood transfusion in hospital, went on trahemic for 6 weeks, had a blood transfusion before the surgery. And then I think during the surgery, they had to give me blood as well. So, third surgery, done.
Hold it there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing this third surgery because you're
Mm-hmm.
saying to yourself, you still want to grasp the opportunity of childbearing. All right.
Yes.
For those who are looking on, those who do not know, endometriosis can affect fertility. It
Mm-hmm.
can make it very difficult to conceive. But
Yes.
there's also many women with endometriosis that can still get pregnant with
Mm-hmm.
appropriate treatment. So
Mm-hmm.
this appropriate treatment meant removing the cyst, removing the fallopian tubes.
No,
Correct?
this just meant removing the cyst. At least that's what I was told. So
Hmm.
this surgery is going to remove the cyst.
The
That's what
cyst.
I was told. Mm-hmm.
So you go in there,
Mm-hmm.
you give up your body again. They put you under the knife. You go to sleep for those surgeries,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. I wake
What
up.
is your mindset on this third one? Which was your most hopeful surgery as we're here on surgery number 3? So far, which one do you think that you were fully surrendered with?
The second one.
The second one with
The
with the
second
with the
one
with the um with the
with the
private doctor
doctor.
and the burning ashes to ashes, dust to
Yes.
dust. We're gonna be done over with that. But we're
Yes.
back just a year later after that. And
Mm-hmm.
there's, uh, even two larger cysts than the ones we just
Mm-hmm.
taken out. We're
Mm-hmm.
going in again, doctor, for the third time. I am doing this. And I want to applaud your strength. I must admit, I am not that person. This not working, I am prepared to go to heaven when Christ comes. This is it. I give up my body. I am ready. Whatever happens, happens. You're not going back. Y'all didn't get this right one time. You're not going back. I don't care. No, no, no. That is just me. Huh?
Mhm.
And there are people because they're so scared, and sometimes
Mhm.
you want to do what is best for you, but we become fearful. But when you have that support, and that's why we need friends and family members who can
Yes.
support us through and rally us through when your little sister have to bathe you and check up on you and be there, and you have to be
Yeah.
bawling and crying. We need that support for people who can be around us when we are so weak. So I want to make a pause here. If
Mhm.
you have a support team with you and you want to shout out their names right now, you want to put it there in the chat, whatever you are going through, you know you can call on these individuals for support. I want to just type it in right now. Just type it in. Um, so surgery number 3, they say it's for the cyst. What happened?
So I go in, I wake up, and I'm like, why is my why is this big scar, this big plaster on my belly? Because I'm expecting a C-section cut again.
Mhm.
And that's when he told me, it's like, we went in and we were like, you know what? Because of the size of it, we're going to have to cut up. So they had to cut up and around my navel to take it out. And I'm like, fine, once this is out. So I'm getting ready to be discharged. And, the doctor comes and whatever. And the doctor says to me, so, looking at the child, whether it was successful, and as you know, we had to take out your ovary. Listen, I said, excuse me? Excuse me? He's like, yes. I was like, you what? Yeah, we had to take out your left ovary. I said, nobody told me that. And then he watches me, I watch him, and he says, okay, hold on a second. So they step aside. And I'm like, ain't no way Mr. Man take out my ovary. Ain't
Wow.
no way. So I'm waiting
Wow.
because I'm thinking, error, 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 error. He comes back and he's like, yes. So what happened was, and I remember him saying, when we went to take out the cyst, that's how they explained it. The cyst engulfed your ovary. And when we tried cutting around, there was so little ovarian tissue left. We just took it out. They just took it out. I just sat there, said nothing. He said okay. I said okay, and I just sat there. If I was a shimon, I was no. It would have ended differently, but I wasn't. I was going through a time where I was weakened. My spirit was weakened. I was not the strong person I am right now, and so I just left it at that.
Th- I I'm gonna take it for I don't want to take it for granted that everybody who's listening understand what that means. So I want us to break it down for small. You
Mm-hmm.
go in for one type of surgery. The surgery is
Mm-hmm.
to simply again remove the two cysts so
Mm-hmm.
that we can have you can have the opportunity of having your family, having your children, and so on. You want to just ensure you're clear and you're doing your best. And this was privately or publicly at this time.
This is publicly.
So this public, you back at the
Mm-hmm.
public hospital again, and you've trusted yourself to them, and they're supposed to know what they're doing. They go in there. And the fact of the matter is, I'm not a doctor, I'm not on the doctor side or Sherman side, it's not a matter side. We know that there are times doctors go in and different things are happening. And we
Yes.
understand doctors need to do what doctors have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the effect now. You have taken out my left ovary.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? What does it mean for me in childbearing? What did they say for you?
So, like I said, I left there. I didn't ask any question because I refused to let my mind go there. And then I remember you have to go for the clinics. So I went to the clinic and I said to them, because all this time I'm like, let me be sure. I'm like, so when I left the hospital, they told me that they had to take an ovary. The doctor looked through the file. He said, yeah. That was weird. I could just say, yeah. Anyways, beside the point. He said, yeah. We took that ovary, yeah. You only have one right now. So I said to him, I said, am I infertile? And he said, well, what I would advise you to do is go to a gynecologist, have a discussion with them, and they'll be able to guide you further. And I never went until maybe 2, 3 years later because I don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
I
Mercy.
don't want to know. Um, I wasn't in a relationship back then. So I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to deal with it. Let me just focus on myself. And let me just be happy with just being me. So I think what happened was, again, I started getting pain. And I said, okay, let me go back to this. Let me find a private doctor for her to think. And there was this wonderful lady. She's a gynecologist. I can't remember her name, but she was really sweet. And I went to her and she did the ultrasound, she got the ultrasound, she got my history. And she said to me, she said, how old are you? Was I 30 then? Maybe, how am I, 40? So I was like 30.
Now
She said, do you have
20.
any children? I was like, no. And she said, okay, so do you understand what it means that they took your ovary? And I said, no, explain to me. And so she explained it to me. I don't have one ovary. My fallopian tubes are scarred. And by that time, my period was acting up. Every other month, missed 3 months, 4 months, go away. You have extensive scarring in your fallopian tube, and the ovary you have is already compromised. And she said to me, I don't want to say that you're infertile, but if you do decide to have children, it may not happen. And if it does happen, it's going to be a very long and difficult road. And I said nothing. I didn't say anything. I was saying that I went into, Daddy was waiting for me, and I went to Daddy and I said to him, I said, Daddy, I think I'm infertile. And that is when I broke down.
Wow.
And you know this feeling like all your hopes and dreams just gone? That's how it felt at that moment. And every single hope I had, and if you all know me, to me, boy children are the best. The only good girl children was myself, right? My parents could say that. But boys are just, and I had this plan. I have 2 boys, 5 years apart. I get married. And then it's like, all that is gone. Because who wants to marry someone who's defective? Which man wants to marry a woman who can't rear a child? So my hopes for marriage and children and relationships was just, no.
So you said earlier you were in a relationship at that time.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't in a relationship at the time.
I was in a relationship with the first 2 surgeries, but not the
First two
third.
surgeries, not the third.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is hard to swallow because I know what it is to be as a woman and you're in that hospital and having to hear certain things. And it is not so much the news, but it's the way the news is given.
Mm-hmm.
So casual, so unsympathetic, unempathetic, whatever the word is. So yeah, this is it. This is what happened, and you just need to get over it. Go in your life. Yep, basically. Yeah. Next. What? I'm still here. And if you ask questions, you look stupid. You sound stupid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you want to process these things. So you walked out, and I can see you walking, and going to your father and you have to relay this news that there is little to no possibility where my dream of having a child will happen. Children. That is affected. And as a woman now, I'm thinking, because somehow you grew up with your mindset that all we here really for is to get married and get some little picnics and just, throw them out.
Yeah.
That is not happening right now. So you feel sort of defective in some way, and no man will want you because men want to have children. That is a
Yep.
not that's this whole emotional turmoil going through there, where I hear the play out on the day, but what is it like the play out? Tell us, how did that go, that emotional turmoil, your future emotional turmoil? When we're doing the surgery, it's about now. The
Mm-hmm.
surgery is over.
Yeah.
My future is affected.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say to women out there who maybe going through this? How did you push past that pain, or have you pushed past that pain?
I I can't. Oh, have I pushed past a pain? Yes. Um, and sometimes I have to wonder if I've pushed past the pain or if I've just toughened up.
Mhm.
So, like, I always give this example. So, I mean, after a few years, when I sort of got accustomed to the idea, I was like, okay, children is a no-no. I'm okay with that. I used to say I don't want children, right? That was before I actually, because now I don't want, right? I'm 40, no. But before that, to make myself feel good and for others to just rest me. And I hope
Right.
we could talk about people talking crap and leave women and their wombs. Anyways, let me stop that. Let me go to my,
Alone.
we'll go back, right? Leave women wombs alone. But anyways, so my mindset was, I don't want children. I don't want no husband because man is stress.
Mm.
And I thought that that is what was happening. And I remembered when Kerwin and Kearney had their children, the two girls. I
Those
was
are your
fine.
brothers.
Yes, my brothers. I was fine. I was happy. Auntie life, whatever, whatever. And when Cherise was making her child, I was fine. When I found out that Zane was going to be a boy, I was fine. And I remembered when I went to check Cherise after Cherise had Zane. And I got mad, pissed to high
Mhm.
heaven. And when Cherise came home with Zane that night, I couldn't go and see her. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to see Zane.
Yeah.
Because I was like, life is so unfair. My little sister has her son. I'm the bigger sister, and I can't have none. And I remember I had to message Cherise and be like, I don't want you to feel as though I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around Zane. But I going through this emotion, just give me time. Now Zane is like my favorite, a stressor, my favorite nephew. And so I had to push through the snide comments, the questions of why ain't getting married, the questions of you're taking too long, you don't want no children, persons questioning why I don't want children, persons assuming my infertility is a myth, and maybe if I try to have a child, I would have a child. I remember I told somebody like my I don't even think I could go through the process of trying to have a child and being disappointed. I think that is going to break me more than
Yeah.
just not trying will break me. And what I can say to women out there is that when I thought my story was bad and I opened up, then you hear other person's stories.
Yeah.
And a lot of women are going through the same thing that I'm going through with the infertility and stuff like that. And I would want to say, I don't think there's anything that you could say to them. What I want to say is to these characters and these quote unquote
Persons.
persons, be careful what you're saying to people. Because
When
you
you're gonna
never
have a child.
know what a woman is going through. When you have as soon as you get married, when you get a child, as soon as you get a child, when you get the next one. When
When you
you're
get
not
to
with
get
some,
the girl for the boy for the girl.
when you're in when you're in what you call it? When you're in not in a relationship, why not get in a relationship with somebody? And we don't understand what persons are struggling with. And what was so
Yeah.
surprising for me is that the persons who I was closest to, who I told my story to, are the persons who were the least understanding. But let me big up Curtis and Lieber Julian. Plymouth SDA Church. You see, those two,
Mm.
from beginning to end, outside of my family members, from beginning
Right.
to end, those two in church, always very understanding,
Oh,
always had my back, never had an inappropriate comment. And they were there from the first to the last. And I wish we had more persons with the same mentality as Curtis and Lieber would have. And if we have it, then we're going to make it a little more easier for persons who are going through their own struggles.
their own struggles. I know we're coming up to the hour there. Um, sure, I mean, I must say, people say, "Oh, tremendous strength." We don't have our choice in strength. We just
Mm-hmm.
have to be strong as women and pushing past that pain and pushing past that emotional turmoil and that mental turmoil and the whole relationship. There's so many things that are falling off. I love the rawness of where you said, I did not want to see my sister and I did not want
Mm-hmm.
to have any relationship with that child at that point because it hurts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. And sometimes we don't want to admit it because another person's going around there and they will smile and smile with it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they will suffocate the child. That's what they will do. It was good. No, I'm serious. You can't trust
Mm-hmm.
everybody. It is good when we deal with our emotional, when I can say, this is how I feel about
Yeah.
this situation. And that is what makes it hard. And that is what becomes difficult. And we have to be mindful. I know you slided in a little bit early, but I want to highlight it that we really need to keep our business, leave women's room alone. You
Yes.
you do not know. You absolutely do
Mm-hmm.
not know. What women are going to remember when somebody when I got my daughter, and people like, you need to get the sun, you need to go for the sun. And a day I was just so not in the mood of just smile and be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, listen, my son died. Okay? I already
Yes.
have a son and he is not here. Okay? And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Bet that, yeah. I love to see that old
Yes.
face. Because sometimes people really do not know. You see somebody, you don't know what is going on inside of them. You don't know their relationship. Sometimes you, as you said, you wanted to be in a relationship, but you were saying, I don't want to be in a relationship because I'm thinking I do not have anything further to offer this man.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. I desire. So instead of me saying I
Mm-hmm.
desire this relationship, I say I don't want children. I don't want nothing. I just want to grow old and die. That's what I want to do with my life because things are affecting. I
Mm-hmm.
just have like about two or three more questions. You've
Uh-huh.
done the third. We're following you through with this. We're following you
Mm-hmm.
here from 2006. We're
6.
following you. You've had the first surgery, down to the second surgery, third surgery. They took out your left ovary
Mm-hmm.
without your consent or knowledge. Coming to grips with the fact of infertility.
Mm-hmm.
Then to now,
Mm-hmm.
how have you been? Without, apart from all the emotional turmoil, how are you coping?
I'm coping really well now.
They,
Um,
have there been any other procedures?
Well, let's just go back.
Let's go back. We're at surgery number 3. Mm-hmm.
No, the sis is back.
Oh, the sister's back.
The sis is back. Um, Luckily, my doctor has not advised surgery. Um, I thank him for that. But I do say, if I told somebody, if it's somebody again, because there are other doctors who have advised surgery since. And the last doctor who advised it, I said, listen, if you're going to do surgery, you will be taking my womb.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it out. Because as of right now, clearly it's useless. So don't harass me. But since then, not much pain.
Right.
I see my period once a year, if so much. um, I do have the back pains and the cramping every now and then. Um, but that is about it. Mentally, I think I wouldn't say I'm fine because you never know. Something might trigger an emotion.
Right.
But I am doing far better now than I did back between like 2011, 2012, 2013. I think also it's because I've toughened up. So I like to shock them. When person say, why not having a child? I'm infertile. And then they will back off.
Right. No more questions.
So I like to shock them, or when you having a child, I'll be like, oh, when you leaving your husband, when you divorcing, I hit you back with something unnecessary, just for you to shut up and leave me alone. My friend group is my biggest support.
All right.
And I don't have a lot of friends. My friends are small. I have 5. So Shana, Debbie, Salian, Inga. Then I have my buddy co-workers. So it's Garvey, Tennille, then my Arab crew. And all of them sort of kind of have the same mindset as me, where they understand what I would have gone through.
Right.
And they have been compassionate and they've been empathetic. And then I have my family who have allowed me to mother their kids because I can't
Yes.
have. So they've allowed me that. I remember Kiara was like, my child. I mean, she big now and she gave me tough something. But Kiara was just like, when coming on Ayana is like, here, do whatever. It's okay, whatever. And I appreciate that. I appreciate having the opportunity to be quote unquote like a motherly figure without the added
Yes.
responsibility of dealing with their tantrums and all. And also my church, who have also, I mean, they stress me out, but they have really been a support as well. Everybody understands my story, and nobody would ask me about a child, about marriage or anything.
Right.
Just there to offer compassion and whatever. And I always say, if I didn't have that support team around me,
Yeah.
I don't know where I would have been now. I'm actually be depressed right now. But I'm much better than I used to be. I'm not fully okay yet, and I don't think I'll fully be okay. Which that's why I need to go to heaven. Because God has some questions to answer, because I want to know
Answer
why
for
me.
you.
Yeah, I want to know why me. Let me be real. Why? Why me? But yeah, I think I'm much better than I was before.
All right. I have one final question for you. And I'm glad you talk a lot about the support and so on. And I just want to know, what advice would you give to someone who has recently been diagnosed with endometriosis? What advice would you give them?
Don't do the surgery. As far as possible, find an alternative method to deal with it. Now, I don't know what it is, but I've heard success stories of persons on, some herbs, going to specialty clinics that deal with these things. Now, everything won't work for everybody. Because what
Yeah.
works for, well, nothing works. I'm going to say what worked for me, but nothing worked for me. But what might work for some persons might not work for you.
Right.
And endometriosis is not a final destination. I've
Right.
heard persons who had endometriosis and they have like 3 children and are
Yeah.
happy and normal. I mean, they still have to deal with the pain and stuff like that, but generally they're okay. So I would always say, one, try, let surgery be the final option. And do your research and find alternative ways to manage because there's no cure, but you can effectively manage your symptoms. And also, most important, pain is not normal.
Pain is not normal. Thank you.
Pain is not normal. Period pains are not normal. The amount of persons who I know who was like, but I've never had period pains before. And I'm in a shock because I thought everybody had it.
Gets severe pain. Yeah.
Once you're having severe pain with your periods, check a doctor. I think if I had done my check-in earlier, maybe I would have had my 2 little boys running around stressing me out. So, yeah, pain is not normal, and at any sign of discomfort, check a doctor. Check a doctor, check a doctor, check a doctor. And also, endometriosis is not the end.
It's not the end, and we
Yes.
are endo warriors. All right. And that's where it is today, friends. We go through this experience of so many things that could happen to us, so many situations, but we press on. And Sherman has told us her story of how she has pressed on and pushed past the pain, and all that she went through. I mean, there are so many parts I felt so sad. I had to put this together, uh, because nobody wants to go through that. Nobody wants to see anybody go through that. And as a woman, sometimes the amount of pain you have to go through and still push past that pain. All right. So, Sherman, we want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Friends, you want to thank Sherman for being here. You know how we do it here at I Talk with Pastor. Endometriosis is not a death sentence, so we want to
Nope.
thank Sherman for sharing her story, and it is helping somebody. I know it has helped somebody. So it is, if it has helped you in any way, the story, if you've been encouraged in some aspect of your life, go ahead and say thank you. Put your thank yous in the comments. Put your thank you. Let Sherman know that you appreciated her coming and making that sacrifice to tell your story, because there are people who are going through so much and they don't know how to publicly share their story. And some of them share their story privately. But I've
Yeah.
learned that whatever it is we are going through, we do it. God gives us the strength. The Bible talks about how, the comfort in, we comfort other, we're able to comfort others with the comfort with which we have been comforted. Some
Yes.
folks may be like, I don't know how I'll get this done, but I can tell you, we all get it done. So this is Women's Month. We will be talking to women all month long. So continue to join us here on I Talk with Pastor. Sherman, I wish you all the best. I don't go around telling people, oh, you need to get this, you need to get that. You get whatever it is God desires to give you happiness
Yes.
and life and strength, and to be a source of encouragement, of however that comes about, as God reveals to you day by day what his plans are for your life.
Yes.
So thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is I Talk with Pastor, conversation about life and faith, and we hope to see you again soon. We see you next week. We're on next week. We're talking to another woman. So come on in and join the conversation. Goodbye.